Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is me, Duke CT. What are you doing? How you feeling, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing? Hope you're feeling good. Hope you're feeling blessed. I hope you continue on this whole crazy little thing we're on, this world life and everything else. Uh, anyway, man, just want to get you to, just want to make sure that all the stuff here is on point and everything. Thank you so much for listening. We got a lot to talk about. We got like Microsoft, the free fall of Xbox Game Pass, the free fall of everything else, and it's just like all this other stuff's going on here with Microsoft and everything else, and what's going on, and we look into that type of stuff today, and you know just want to make sure that we can get to that type of thing. Just want to talk about that. But first, I want to talk about the WWE. The WWE is in neutral, and honestly, it's not really surprising. Let me just get this stuff right here and make sure every little thing is going on point. And let's see if I can find the thing here. All right. We get a nice little picture here and seeing how it just feels, everything feels just stagnant and just not really, nothing is moving. And I wonder, I look at this, talk about this subject about WE and its lack of movement is because of, I mean, it started last year, actually. Last year, Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel was that was the beginning of that lull with that whole, well, we don't know who's going to be that whole Crown Jewel championship. All the storylines were completely stopped, and it just continues to be, well, in the stagnation stuff out here. It still feels in that stagnation, and the problem right now in WWE, and the problem when I look at WWE right now and seeing what's happening, like say, let's look at the vision and see how that whole mess here started. Let me just, let's get. Oh, this is too small. I don't see. No, 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 no. Gosh. All right, let's see if I can get this image a bit bigger, if I can. Or let's see. All right, that's enough. Let me just get this right here. Want to make sure because you never know with these type of things. Just share the screen here. There it is, and boom. If y'all remember that. Oh, nice little spooky background for you. Spooky, scary. Not skeletons, but pumpkins. Halloween's the month, ladies and gentlemen. All right, but yeah. Look at the division. Remember them. It felt like it was all going to be this huge, big thing. It was going to be the big new storyline, evolution, bloodline, all this type of stuff. That's what it felt like. And I was just sick of it. Personally, I didn't care. I felt like they were just waiting for a long time for Braun and all this other stuff. But then Seth Rollins gets hurt. That's right. Seth Rollins is injured. So that means we got some new people to show up here. You got some new folks to be in here. The new people, the big people. Let's see, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. And when you saw like that, you're like, man, Breaker destroyed. Let's see, old Seth Rollins, and you think, okay, maybe he will finally be in that higher position. No, he's still slumming. In fact, supposedly there are reports that he couldn't get into that battle royal because he get babyface cheers. I'm like, well, that is true. Seth Rollins has been a bastard. Well, what did you expect that one? Braun has been getting cheered when he was debuting. In fact, he was getting cheered when he was a villain, a heel, last year when there was changed the channel back and forth, what have you. And he was getting And I think the Vision stalled that. I honestly think the Vision was one of the things that stalled Braun Breaker. He doesn't need that stuff. He should be your main guy push for that world title. He should have been. He should have had a really strong debut at the Rumble. He should have been taking things out. And if you really want to do something real, he should have been like he should have won King of the Ring. He should have won the world title, and just start there. This whole Vision stuff, it's just this. And heck, I don't know why it is a problem with WWE across the board. They have so many old guys in that main event. Too many people in the 40s and late 30s. How Bronson Reed here, he's like in 36. There hasn't been a WWE champion born like in the 90s or something. There hasn't been a champion, a world champion, and Braun was right there. Instead, what do you have? You have Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins gone. We have the Yeet Man versus CM Punk. That's what it's going to be. In fact, here's the messed up part. Jey Uso lost the number one contendership match. He lost a number one contendership match against Punk. And like, all I ask, a little bit comments. It just doesn't, for the number one contendership and such. He was pinned. It really does not make any sense to me when you have this, when you have all this, like, supposedly he's going to be your big star. This is going to be your big, your big stars, your big moment. And, he gets like the second, shot or whatever. This is the problem when you have these main event stuff right there. This is the problem of when you have the horrible buildup of these new stars, and you're just like, okay, we're just running back again. And let me just see if I can get this thing here. We gotta run this again. And this right here again, 39 years old, and Jey Uso's 39. Punk's like what, 40 in his 40s at this point, late 40s? I mean, that's why I worried about him getting a world title in AEW. He shouldn't be in that position. Punk should not have been a world champion. I said this, Hangman should not have lost that belt to Punk, and I keep saying that. And I've been vindicated ever since. And Punk being in that world championship, and if he does win, fine. But the problem is you're gonna have another issue of like injuries. Punk is old man. He's gonna be, he can't go as long as you can do it. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if WWE gets to panic mode because we don't have any new stars. Like, hit the Brock button. They're gonna have Brock Lesnar come in. I wouldn't be surprised. He comes to the Saturday night's main event and he takes down Punk and sets up a match at Survivor Series. Punk versus Lesnar. Lesnar wins, and we have Lesnar hold that belt until eternity. And there you go. And that's what's going to happen. That's what it is in this situation. And speaking of things that have been in the loop for an entire 10, let me just see if I can get this one here. This match. Oh, my goodness. Hey, everyone. You know the song here? Same as, the same thing here. Let's see. Cody Rhodes versus Drew. He's way too much online McIntyre. I am just, they had a definitive match at WrestlePalooza, and they, I'm just tired of seeing these two, same thing. Nothing is changing. People want to talk about Hangman's status, as champion. No one wants to talk about Cody. His first run as WWE champion and this one. What is his main thing? What are his main stories and such? What was his one thing in this whole thing? Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, who loses every time, that sort of thing. Just an ultimate loser. The same as Drew McIntyre, loser. And that's what it is. It's just loser, more losers, and stuck in this stagnation of the main event. And how it's not just them, ladies and gentlemen. It is not just them. And you can see this in NXT. Let's look. Let me see if I can get the NXT stuff. Where is it? NXT. Let's look. NXT is going to have a last man. And let me see if I can find the stuff here. Where is it? NXT. What? Let's see. Because it's been announced. Twick Williams versus Ricky Saint. And going down in that situation. Let me just see. Ricky Saints and Trick Williams. Let me just see here. Interrupting a championship match, and both of them weren't even punished, by the way. I think there was going to be a last man standing match for NXT Gold Rush. So it's going to be a NXT Championship match: Ricky Saints versus Trick Williams. And you want to talk about someone been in a loop and such? Trick Williams, who was champion, a two-time NXT champion, and he's a two-time NXT champion. You think that he should be? Well, he is. Let me see again. 31. So I think he should not be. He should be beyond the stuff. And then he had his TNA phase and such. You think that you look at his. I remember him he dropped the TNA championship, and you wonder, you're like, oh well, he won the he's like, okay, you're like, okay, this guy is going to the main roster, right? He's going to the main roster. He had his little thing here. He's TNA champion. He did all he can do in NXT. He should be going to the main roster right now. No, he's still stuck at NXT. And this is again the problem with NXT being a brand, and I keep saying this, is that you can't have these guys graduate. They stay there until they have worn out their welcome, to the point that when they get to that main roster, they're just like most people, they either just are in this weird holding pattern like Braun Breaker, or they become completely irrelevant like Carmella Hayes. They had that one great 7-match series of Andrade, and everything else he's been tagging with the Miz, and then he just doesn't appear. Oh, he had some dark matches against Cody Rhodes, and that's nothing. That's less than nothing. Owner in chat saying owner of a stolen gun. Ricky is on. Yes, he is. You see what you understand what I'm saying? These two, Ricky and Trick, should not be in that developmental. He should not be in developmental. They should be on that main roster. They should be on the main roster. They should be on that main show. And now they're on the USA. You have this the CW, and and international stuff is Netflix. They can't do that. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I believe I honestly think I'm right. Is when you have these shows on these, you can't have developmental stuff on these shows. Like, they can't be developmental anymore. They are now on this prime time show, and they've grown, and they have all these championships and everything else. The audience, the story is over at this point, and now you want them to say, "Oh, we're going to go over here now." You see the problem is? You see the problem? And I think this was the problem with turning developmental into that. You can look at the fall. Look, I enjoyed Black and Gold era, but maybe that was you know maybe that was not the best way to do it. Maybe you should have just done an NXT 2.0 earlier, and not have that whole stealing on the show, stealing. Okay, maybe take some ROH talent to help the guys, young guys, or people who there and train them, but don't just, what I'm trying to say is that don't put them so much and feature them to the point that it's like you're making this like basically WWE's version of Ring of Honor, and not do much with these guys when they go to the main roster, and they have to wait until when old Vinnie Mac is gone, when they actually can try to do something interesting with these characters. The problem is the time window is up for those main characters, and it's time for the people who have been in NXT 2.0 and such like that to make their statements, to make those big things. And instead, what are Trick Williams doing? Still fighting NXT. And, going right around again, fighting against Ricky Saints. This whole on-site thing, which is just like, oh, we're just wasting time until the Royal Rumble. That's what it is. That's not Gold Rush. It's like we're waiting time for the Royal Rumble. And in fact, I think the people on that main roster, when you look at the whole thing, didn't stay that long in NXT. They were a saga. They didn't stay for years and years in NXT. when the WWE Network, they were in. They got 3 or 4 months, and especially they're like hire stuff like Drew McIntyre, or Bobby Roode, or Shinsuke Nakamura, or other Sami Zayn. They got put up there, right? They were like, okay, we got 2 or 3 months, good time. Now we building you up. You're built up already. Go on the main roster. They didn't spend a year or 2 or 3 years in the and stuff like that. Trick Williams, he should be on that main roster yesterday. Same thing as Ricky Saints, Obafemi. Again, Obafemi is like he should be on that main roster yesterday as well. But now again, they're stuck in neutral. WWE isn't stuck in neutral. And I don't think they're going to get themselves out of it until, they're going to be, their hands going to be forced. And then I remember, let me just look at this. Let me see if I can get this picture up because, good Lord, this thing. Oh, goodness. Took me to see Ticketmaster the show. Let's see, yada, yada, yada. Let's see. Oh, it's kind of WrestleMania tickets, by the way. I just want to see what the cost is. Let's see. Ringside seats. 32,000. Well, at least it looked cheaper at this point. Let's see. Let's look at the deep places. Let's see. This shows you right here what WWE's main event talent is. Old. All these guys old. No Trick Williams, no Kamala Hayes, no Bianca Belair, no Rhea Ripley, no Io Sky, none of the people who actually hold it down. How the ladies who hold it down had the best matches on that card. Let's be honest. Naomi, Jay Cargill, let's see, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. Those are the ladies who held it down. Hell, Rhea Ripley held it down. You got Sky, them doing good stuff. The Kabuki Warriors are coming back. Kairi Sane and Asuka. Charlotte Flair and Asuka doing. No, I mean not Asuka. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Those type of thing. Those team and everything. They look very interesting. There's other stuff here. The ladies are doing all the work. And I honestly, Stephanie Valkyrie, which something I wish the women are doing what the men should be doing, building up the young talent. And, Braun Breaker should be just as popular as Rhea Ripley. Instead, it's Brock Lesnar again. It's CM Punk again. It is Roman Reigns again. It is Cody Rhodes again. It is Triple H, a guy who says, I don't want to be in the main spotlight. Here you are. Man, here we are. Once again. These are the old men. They are old. All of them. Old guys who have been, honestly, in some cases, the detriment of your company for the past year. And you know who I'm talking about. Right here. One of your detriments right here is in your district. Meanwhile, the ones who are actually the hard workers, Bianca, Naomi, Jade, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Kyrie, all of them. Hell, I'll put Bailey and Lava Vakira as well. Hell, Becky Lynch doing yeoman's work, making the Intercontinental Championship feel actually important, elevating people. Instead, look at the people you set up there. Your stupid commercial that hyped everything up, and that it is again the slap at the face of this entitlement, like this weird, like not time, but the slap in the face to every one of these young the ladies on that card, the people on the who actually are doing the work. Roman's not even there most times. Punk is the only people that worry about Roman. Roman, he's there fine. He's gonna be retiring probably a couple years to the movie, same as Cody Rhodes and probably Punk too. And then when you have all these old people, they're gonna be gone soon, which honestly wouldn't surprise me. Who are you gonna be left with if people just be like, "Oh, we'll push Braun anyway"? Now, instead of actually building up young talent that should be on their position now instead of, we'll just wait. We'll just wait. That's going to bring people. That's going to bring butts and seats. We'll just wait. And that is why this is why the act this is why, man, the meet the new boss same as the old one, and they're gonna be stuck in neutral until they get some people who actually know what they're doing, and the stagnation can end. I am tired of the stagnation. I am sick to death of the stagnation, and quite honestly, I think that the stagnation has hurt everybody. The stagnation will continue to hurt everyone to the point that people are just going to get stop bored and stop watching. But that's my personal opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Leave something in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Ring the bell if you need to. Anyway, yeah, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for listening and being here in this little spooky edition of the Dukect Lounge. By the way, we will return right after this. We're going to talk about something even more ghastly. Oh, Microsoft and its complete backwards stuff going on right now. We'll be right back right after this here live on the Dukect Lounge.